Travis Wayne Goodsoe. As I notified you in the dream I had last night, stray hair, which I posted this morning when the stream, I'm still dead. I was up late having to deal with the church's latest attack on me. There is a death threat in motion right now, an assassination attempt on my life that is in effect. I exposed it, as I've done all of them. It's like they think they can hide and not be held accountable for what they're doing. And eventually they will succeed because nobody stops them. But the authorities have been notified, and so now I just wait to see if this is the one where they finally get me and permanently silence me. So I don't know how much time I have left. The plot is to have me completely destroyed by February next year, with more immediate torture threats to be implemented immediately on the 10th of this month. That will is it evolve or devolve until February. This is all being done under the cover of legitimate action. It's a legal term. It's usually referred to under the cover of law or color of law. And it is a crime, not just as a law officer to abuse your position to attack other people, but for any person, whether it be business or religion or society. If you are under the guise of one thing in order to commit crimes, you're still guilty of the crime. And so I saw a comment which would have been late last night on Travis Wayne Goodsoe's channel, in which it's asking a question. If Native Americans are the lost tribes of Israel, why do Mormons kill so many natives? Makes no sense. Yeah, it doesn't, until you realize that Brigham Young and his Danites are not Mormon. They're under the guise of the true successors of Joseph Smith. And Wikipedia plays the game as it says Brigham Young is the second president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Well, Joseph never called the organization that, let alone is Brigham Young the true successor, for multiple reasons as I've gone over, as there's other branch-offs from Joseph Smith, and after Joseph Smith died, and plus the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints got the designation as the true successors from the Supreme Court of the United States in the Temple Lot case. So the claim that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints through Brigham Young is the true successor of Joseph Smith's Mormonism is a fraud. It's an outright blatant lie under the cover or guise of Mormonism. And And so, yes, it was Brigham Young who purposely murdered the American Indians and the Ute Indians so that he could conquer the land and designate it as the Kingdom of Deseret. But the United States came in a year later and shut it all down. And made him a governor of the territory of Utah, but he was a bad boy and was shut down. And then the church continued to be bad under Taylor and then under Woodruff. And so the United States said, enough, you're completely destroyed. You are no longer an organization. The guise has been uncovered. And so, I'm done with this one, aren't I? The Mormon accuser. But yeah, he's under the guise of being of the true church, Paul, and yet he's attacking anybody who says anything contrary to his spiritual witness circular reasoning trap. You know, God gives spiritual witness, so the spiritual witness is from God. God gives spiritual witness, so the spiritual witness is from God. It's a trap. And Mormons don't see it. They don't want to see it because they don't get to be judged in this trap. They can just dismiss other people as the enemy. You guys are carnal, apostates, anti. Yeah, those are all hate and incitement to violence. That's what ad hominems are. And Mormons are the masters of the pattern of practice. So Brian David Mitchell, you guys remember him? He's infamous, whereas Elizabeth Smart is now famous, as she gets to go around the nation speaking about the evils of sex trafficking, kidnapping, domestic abuse, stuff like that. As Brian David Mitchell believed he was the Messiah for the latter days. Changed his name for that whole purpose. So he was under the guise of being a religious organization to justify his criminal activities. Polygamy and child bride marriages, child rape, and out-of-state transporting of Elizabeth Smart, which makes that human sex trafficking. So, yeah, he's a bad guy. There is actually another guise that's unrelated. Well, the church is in control of Utah, so it's directly tied. Background history first. In World War II, Nazi Germany had concentration camps. You can call them detention centers or internment camps. It doesn't matter. They're torture places where people are denied their rights. The Jews incorporated medical doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are different from psychologists in that they do the drugging, like medical doctors do. And so, yeah, psychologists and psychiatrists are under the guise of being actual medical doctors. And they're not. They just got a PhD in their field and thus get the title of doctor. So you can be a doctor of archaeology. Dr. Indiana Jones, for example. He's not a real doctor. And yes, it causes a lot of confusion in our society, and lots of people like to make jokes in TV shows and movies and such. And yes, it is important to know the difference. And so medical doctors should actually say, I'm a medical doctor, to distinguish themselves from all other doctors. it's already blurring. I don't know why it does this. It doesn't move, but I can move it like a camera lens. But cameras don't do this. Just this thing. And so they were performing psychological torture research, or research on the Jews through torture to see their responses, and for the purpose of identifying how to control humans and human behavior. And it's an atrocity. The Nuremberg trials, supposedly shut that down, except America took in a number of psychologists and psychiatrists to protect them from the inhumane treatment of human beings. And so you've probably heard of your MK Ultra and other things. There's probably a YouTube video talking about how the CIA used to do tests at movie theaters, putting frames in between the news clips to see if they can get the audience to desire to purchase more popcorn and soda from the concession stands. They've been messing with us for many decades now, since the war. And so John F. Kennedy in 1963, I think it was, signed into law that America's asylums, mental asylums, can no longer be in operation. They all have to be shut down. And they need the people who are legitimately having problems are supposed to be cared for medically. More humane treatment. He, however, did not fully grasp the danger of psychology and psychiatrists. But nonetheless, the state of Utah has what's now called the state hospital to conform and comply to that act by John F. Kennedy. And it's not a hospital, just like they're not doctors. Do you see the trick they're pulling on people? And I'm willing to bet they don't even put it. Utah State Hospital. Yep, that's all it says, Utah State Hospital. And then you see below the 3-star rating, so not everybody's putting 5 stars? Mental Hospital in Provo, Utah. See, it says hospital, then it says mental hospital, as they are literally conforming to John F. Kennedy's act. Open the disc golf course, for crying out loud. You can see that the reviews show a brainwashing, as the top one only has 4. Really? There's one that has 3,000. Where's that one? Why isn't that one on here? That's strange. Where'd it go? And so, yes, it's still technically a concentration camp in the state of Utah. But they name it in conformity with federal law from John F. Kennedy. And they built a whole new building, but they kept the original. It's now a museum, so that you can find out that guys were locked up there as crazy because they, were against the LDS Church, or masturbated, or, spoke a foreign language. Those mental illness crimes. It's amazing how they still have the documentation for that. And of course, it's all unmarked graves. They've had to have people try to find out the identities of the people who died there. And so it really is a horror haunted house. But Brian David Mitchell got sent there. He was going to be locked up in a concentration camp for the rest of his life for what he did to Elizabeth Smart. That's what Mormons do. Brian David Mitchell, Mormon, the church excommunicated him, and so he formed his own religion as he became the leader of his religion, and committed crimes under the cover of religion, under the color, cover, guise, whatever you want to call it. And the state of Utah, under the color of law, denied him due process, denied him a day in court to defend himself if he was capable. Doesn't matter. Everybody is required by the Constitution to have due process and their day in court. But not in the state of Utah. They threw him in the concentration camp, which is exactly what the Nazis did during World War II, and even the Russians in the 1960s, when Kennedy came out and signed the bill. They were locking up political opponents, calling them schizophrenic, to justify locking them away in their mental asylums. It's not like they still do that. Instead, now, oh, you're a political opponent? Yeah, well, you're now going to the prison camp. I haven't heard about that guy, if he's now dead or what's happened to him. But man, they were all out to get him through poisoning, and then had him transferred to Russia. Well, he actually showed up at Russia. He knew what he was doing. But, And so, you'll be curious or interested to know, right? Why Brian David Mitchell is now in prison and not still in the state hospital. Well, it's because Mr. Smart, or Brother Smart, he's Mormon, had connections with Senator Orrin Hatch at the time. Mormon, Utah senator. Involved in many crimes as senator. Nonetheless, Romney replaced him. And Orrin Hatch ordered the federal government to do their own case. So he got a trial. And magically he was found competent for trial. And so Dr. Golding and one other lady that designated him as not competent need to lock him up in the concentration camp of Utah. All of a sudden, he's perfectly fine and capable of his trial. Isn't that a miracle? Because psychologists and psychiatrists say, oh, there is no cure for mental illness. None. You have to be our client for the rest of your lives. And they say all of us are mentally ill to some level. All of us need to be their client. And if we say, well, I'm not mentally ill, well, it's because you're in denial, and therefore you need them to help you with your problems. They use fallacy. They are not a legitimate scientific field. And so, yeah, lots of under the guise color covers that are going on these days in Utah with the church. Chad Daybell, can't go without talking about him. Has apparently Nelson is trying to get him off. He's a good guy, let him go. I still have yet to see those videos though, to see what the letter was that he sent the court, or the lawyers, defense lawyers for Chad. I gotta find out what that is all about. That's just too freaky. As the defense counsel is thanking Nelson for his letter. I mean, Trump got people in trouble because he was commenting about cases. So, what was Nelson thinking? Yeah, Mormon. Had a near-death experience, wrote all about it. Monson came out with the letter saying, don't listen to Chad Daybell. He's on the fringe. He's not following the living prophets. This is not the latter days, even though a tetrad lunar eclipse had 3 apostles go with it. As the announcement for the latter days, which would be 2 years later, technically the next year, because that's when the conception occurred, of the Immaculate Conception. But again, Daybell then formed his own religion and therefore justified committing crimes. You see in a pattern? You take a legitimate organization, office, position, and you use it to commit crimes. That's what this is all about. It's a deceptive practice, criminal practice, that people do over and over and over and over and over and over and over in various fields, whether it be business, government, or church. And so, again, adultery, murder, severe murder, defacing of the human body. But that's how far gone he was. Just like Brian Mitchell, just like the state of Utah, just like Brigham Young, just like the current church. And so, yeah, we can go to the Brigham Young branch offs who were pissed with Wilford Woodruff for being a wimp, a snowflake. They wanted polygamy. It's a crime, but they wanted it. They were claiming it was God's law. Nelson's trying to bring it back. He changed the law of chastity to bring back polygamy. Oakes keeps talking and joking about polygamy. Oh, trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. We need to overturn the government so that we can practice polygamy, our religious freedom. See, again, another cover. Religious freedom. What's it for? To overthrow the government. I already exposed that, and the church is mad. They're pissed. And they full-on attack this week. But yeah, all these Brigham Young branch-offs, they still believe Heavenly Father is Adam, and they want to practice polygamy, and they're very violent. Several of them. Some of them are not so violent. They have security guards. The FLDS has security. And they try to intimidate through a show of physical force. But all that came from Brigham Young's example. That they're just following the living prophet, where Wilford Woodruff failed to follow the living prophet as the living prophet. And so that's the danger that Brigham Young has done, all under the cover of Mormonism. And everybody's suffering, not just Mormons here in Utah, but they're all over the world now, extorting, threatening, intimidating, and lying and deceiving. So, alrighty. Oh, I forgot to mention, I guess I got over 1 million views. I can't find out which video. I guess the analytics are still trying to catch up. YouTube has changed. TWGs. I should check for Travis Wayne Goodsell here since I'm here. Let's get back to my channel. The dislikes are disabled on videos. And 1 hour, nobody's watching it? Yeah, I guess they can't keep up. Everything is just all screwed up. Dear God. So let's look at the Mormon Exodus, which has 20... Yeah, Travis Wayne Goodsell also. It shows only the 0 for the thumbs up. And when I clicked on it to put my thumbs up, it shows 1 now, and it's 27 views, and the dislike has been implemented. That's when dislikes are disabled from views. You will not see your dislike there. Let's see, go to content, 27. Yeah, it has 3 likes before I put my like on just now. 3 likes that don't show, and it doesn't show the dislike of 1. So yeah, like I said, Travis Wayne Goodsell, I get more likes, just not as many views. Except for this one video is beating out the other channel. I have different viewers for the channels. So yeah, Mormon Exodus number 2, 2021. LDS Church covers up membership stats. And all Mormons and ex-Mormons and anti-Mormons and non-Mormons, well, not non-Mormons, they might not know. Doctrine and Covenants, section 121. Many are called, but few are chosen. Why are they not frozen? Because they cover up sin, which is also crime. So, yeah, none. Weird. Okay. I guess nobody cares. I called him out. He says that I and other anti-Mormons are covering up the truth. And so I did a video exposing him for covering up the truth. It's just, Mormons project. When you use fallacy, you're just projecting. You're making yourself look dumb. And I don't know why you think you're smart, and why other people think you're smart when they believe you. You're dumb. Literally dumb. Because you're not using sound argument. So, alrighty. Weird. I guess it's a new thing they're doing. And then that begs the question, why even have thumbs up and down now if nobody's going to see them anymore? I don't care to see them. You know, the views tell me all I need to know. The stats, if they can get them updated, tell me all I need to know. It tells me who my audience is, the sex of my audience, the age of my audience, and the amount of people that are viewing. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know how many people don't like me. and who are haters, though it has been a source for many a video. And you guys do know it's a trap, right? Oh, the YouTube must have caught on. And are protecting Mormons.